So now let's get started with the actual build part 1. The first step is to actually open up Access, and you'll notice that we're using Access 2010, but if you're using 2013 or later versions or earlier versions, the process is very similar. The only difference might be what the button is called or where it's located, but when you see Create, you'll always see Create. When you see Blank Database, you'll always see Blank Database, and a database is a database. It doesn't change too much. So we're going to build a blank database. And I should tell you that there's two approaches to doing this. We could start from scratch within Access, build all of our column headings or field names, and then import data from Excel. But there's a video that's towards the end which shows you how to create a database from an existing Excel file. So there's two options of doing this. We're going to do the straightforward one right now, but then you can watch the other video later on to see the other approach. You could use one of these templates. So for example, if you wanted to do inventory management, there's a template for that here, but these are designed by some programmers and you won't always get what you want. They're basic databases ready to go, very difficult to modify them for your own purposes. And again, the reason we're learning Access to begin with is so that we have an understanding of how databases are built from scratch, so that when we use them in our own organization, we'll appreciate a lot more what it's capable of doing. So we're going to create a blank database, and the straightforward approach is down here. So we're going to give this database a name. So let's call it send call main orders. Select or browse to the location where you want it to be stored, and I'm just going to put it on my desktop so I can show you what it looks like later, and then click the create button. And when you do that, you're going to end up with this. So what you're going to see to begin with is the start of your first table here, and we'll call that a master table later on. But I should tell you something important. There's an X here that closes this table. So you're going to get a lot of different things listed here. To close each one, you click this X. There's nothing wrong with that. But please don't ever click this X on the top right hand corner to close the entire system. Because when a database opens up, it actually puts certain files in the computer's registry because it needs to refer to them. We're not programmers. We don't know exactly what that means, but I'm telling you, don't ever click this X to close the database. You might damage it. You probably will. The best way is to click File, Close Database, and you'll actually put it to sleep properly. Okay, so let's go back to the Home tab. Now we're going to build a database based on a certain data dictionary. I mean, we took the time to design what it is that we wanted, and I've done that for you in a Word document that you can download. It's called Send Call Data Dictionary New. And you'll see that I've listed all the different fields that I want to include in my database. And we're going to use some Excel data that looks exactly the same later. So for example, we want an order ID number that'll be automatic, a product that is text, customer name, country, whether it's NAFTA, yes or no, CETA, yes or no, some dates and so on. And we have another table here to keep track of the drivers. So what we want to do is create one main table for each order, and then within that we want to look up specific data about a driver. Now you notice there's a field here called driver. This driver field will be linked to this driver table here. Now if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see some mini tables. So mini tables are like your drop down boxes. You've noticed them in every software that you use. For example, a font. You have to ask yourself, where does a list of those things come from when you do a drop down box? Well, these are it. So we're going to create 1, 2, 3, 4 mini tables, and later on link them into, for example, for ship type, it will link into the ship type field. Country will link into country, and so on. And you'll see exactly how to do that as we go forward. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I want to go from this view to design view. And you have to do this a lot. We're going to go from design to what we call data sheet view. So design view, data sheet view, and I'll just kind of show you. If you go to design view, it's going to ask you for the name of this master table, and we'll call it orders master. And I like this block letter thing so I know it's my main table. Don't mess with it too much. And you're going to get this. So if I want to go from here back to this view, I just click the button. See, there's nothing there right now. But I'm going to now start building each field, and think of each field here as a column of data in Excel. So I'm going to start building each field based on my data dictionary. So let's do the first one. It's order ID. Next one is product, then customer, and so on. So let's do order ID first. And I'll just change the name of this. Instead of just ID, we'll call it order ID. Now you notice it's automatically set to auto number, and that's fine. We want it to be that because an order ID is that one unique number that no other order has that is just for that order. And it's very similar to your social insurance number, your social security number, or your student number. For example, there might be 20 people with exactly the same name as you. So that's not unique in itself. But if we gave you a student number that there's only one of, we can associate all the information about you according to that one student number. In this case, it's order ID, and we want Access to automatically give it a number that is totally different. Okay, so let's do the next one. It's called product, and it will be text. So the product field will be text. It'll be a box where you type in text, but we actually want to tell it how big it's going to be down here. Now you don't want to leave it at 255. That's the maximum, because when you do things like reports and so on, the actual field will be that big and you waste a lot of time trying to make it smaller again. So let's see. Product is going to be text size 6. Customer is text size 11. Country is text size 3. So let's do the first three. Product text size 6. Okay. Customer text size 11. Country text size 3. And again, we know those because we know the longest name of a country is going to be 3 letters, like CAN or USA, and so on. So we're going to fill in all these other fields from our data dictionary and use these sorts of definitions accordingly. So let's do NAFTA and let's do CETA. So let's see, NAFTA. Now, NAFTA is going to be a box on your screen that when you check the box, the answer is yes. If you leave it blank, the answer is no. And instead of a square checkbox, you might actually have a round circle or a bullet that says yes or no. So let's change that to type yes or no. And we'll do CETA, which is also yes or no. So let's run through a few of these unique ones. We've got order date, unit cost, and unit price. So order date. And I am not leaving spaces inside my names here. Now the order date will be, well, it'll be a date time, right? That's the type of field. And down here, it's asking you what format of date do you want. So let's click, and we want medium date because medium date is the most efficient one to type in. Let's do that. That's the cost of each unit, and that will be currency. Right? So we have currency, dollar amounts, and later on you could actually choose what currency it is. Like this will be Canadian dollars or US dollars, right? Now if you look down here, it's saying it's going to be automatic decimal places, and that could be a lot of decimal places. But we know that when we do currency, our currency is actually only 2 decimals, so we'll specify that as 2. And you just ignore the rest of this for now, okay? So unit cost, unit price, and that's the price we're selling it for. That will be currency. And again, let's do 2 decimals, okay? So unit price, unit cost, so quantity, that's the number of units, which will be a number. So now that we put in each field from our data dictionary, specified the data type, and in the case of text, also specified the field size, and in the case of date, specified medium format, we can actually move forward. I'm just going to put one more field here, and it's called notes. So on the database screen, I want to have a text box that's not just a one-liner. It's actually a big box, and you've probably seen this before, maybe when you filled out a web form. It's a big box. You can type any comments about the order. So take a look. It is text, but it's a special type of text. It's called a memo. So in this and earlier versions of Access, the option is memo, but in the newer versions of Access, they actually change it to short text and long text. So short text is just text, long text would be a memo. Okay, and there's no formatting down here for it. So let's save this, close it, and let's take a look. So let's just double click on this, and you'll see that each of your fields that you created is listed at the top, just like Excel columns. Now we don't have any data in here right now, and we have 2 choices. We can either start typing data or we can import it from Excel, and we will actually do that next. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to click on external data, and you'll see the import link, and there's a number of different ways that you can do it. There's text files, there's XML files, and so on. Our file is actually in the Excel format. So I'm going to click on this, go to where the document is, and it's on my desktop. It's called send call data, so you can actually download this file as well. And it's asking you, do you want to import this data into a new table in the database? Well, no, we already created a table. Do you want to append it to a existing table? Yes, we do. And the table we want to import it into, and the word append simply means to add, is the order master table. Now, later on, you could also link the data to a file that's external. So if you had an Excel file and this database, if you make a change in one, it'll automatically change in the other one as well. We won't do that. We'll do this one. Click OK, and you'll see that all of your columns in Excel are here, and they're perfectly matched up with the headings that we just created, right? So click Next. And it's asking you, does your first row contain headings? Yes, it does. So don't uncheck this if you can, because you want the word product, the customer, the country, NAFTA, and so on to be reflected as column headings or field names. So let's click Next. It's going to import into Order Master and finish. And you'll see it tells you, yep, it has been imported. So close. Now let's take a look what happened. Double click on Order Master table again. Remember, we created this. Double click on it, and look, all that data from Excel came right in. So if in my Excel sheet I added or deleted data in the future, I could always go back to external data, Excel, and then this time append the data. So append means it'll just add on top of it. As long as each order ID number is unique, you'll be fine. Okay? So let's take a look. Right now this just looks like Excel, and to be honest with you, we could have just done everything in Excel and it would have been a lot easier, right? We're going to get to why we would actually do an Access database and the power that it offers later. But right here you could click on these things, you could sort these fields, you could go to the top here and use auto filters, select only certain amounts, a lot of different things you could do right here, and we'll look at more features later on. But let's close this for now. And what we really want to do is create a form out of this, an actual beautiful looking screen that that gives you different boxes, that's user friendly, that lets you navigate and so on. And later on we will do some reports and we'll do some queries and some other functional elements as well. So that's on the next video.